let me now introduce Colonel Joe Zeis, Governor DeWine. When we were elected, we wanted somebody every day working in the governor's office on issues surrounding the military and federal investments in our state. So it's important to have that private-public connection between those institutions. It's important to our state. A lot of times Ohio has undervalued and underappreciated those relationships. We certainly from the Dayton area don't do that with Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, but with NASA Glenn and a number of other installations around our state, it's very important. So let me introduce Colonel Joe Zeis.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. I think we're really, really fortunate to have we're really fortunate to have the governor, lieutenant governor. I think they've been incredibly supportive of Ohio's aerospace and defense industries, installations, and incredibly visionary in the future of Ohio aerospace. And insofar as Ohio leads the nation and the United States leads the world in aerospace, we are the leaders, right? It's not just the Wright brothers. It doesn't begin or end with the Wright brothers. It really is with you in the future, and I think that's an incredible opportunity. So it's really a great opportunity to serve. You know, today Ohio is on the map again at 11/27, at least scheduled. The next SpaceX mission is scheduled to launch to the International Space Station. 10-day mission. One of the 4 private astronauts on that, Larry Connor from Springboro, Ohio. So a first, Ohio continues to really lead the way. The Lieutenant Governor mentioned two pieces of aerospace that I think are incredibly important: hypersonics and advanced air mobility. You know, I'm an aeronautical engineer by initial education, right? My master's degree is in flight controls systems optimization. And at least to me and my semi-informed self, there are 2 transformational elements in the aerospace industry today. They exist at opposite ends of the spectrum, right? One is hypersonics. That was the ability to access space, ability to access points on the globe within minutes. Truly transformational. Ohio is playing in that heavily, right? Whether it's NASA Armstrong, the Air Force Research Laboratory, the universities, we're playing in hypersonics and taking a leading role in that transformational piece of aerospace. The other is at the low end of the spectrum, right? It's the slow end of the spectrum. It's advanced air mobility, it's urban air mobility, it's agility prime, however you choose to define it. That is transformational. That is nothing more than the post-World War II dream of airspace access for everyone, right? It's what that dream was, that we can fly in short distance from point A to point B to better our lives. It is truly transformational, and it's really in your hands. And it is, I think, the next generation. And it's really enabled by partnerships, and it's enabled by the people and infrastructure of Ohio. You represent that. My task from Zoe was to be the call to action. That's an easy job to do, right? Because I look out and I look at incredibly motivated people who are willing to push the envelope to make the next transformation in aerospace happen. And that's a wonderful thing for me. It's a wonderful thing to see that opportunity space, to give you a personal note and put it in time perspective. I'm a Washington, D.C. native. I'm actually a 4th generation Washington, D.C. native. Very hard to find the 1 generation, you know, in that city, right? So transient. But my family was born there. My grandfather was born in 1879. We all had kids later in life, too, right? My grandfather was born in 1879. His mother told him stories of seeing Lincoln in a carriage. He saw one of the Wright brothers' military trial flights at Fort Myer. My grandfather lived until 1974 to see every manned landing on the moon. Imagine in the span of one lifetime, be able to hear about Lincoln firsthand and then see every manned landing on the moon and the Wright brothers in between. That is the pace of aeronautics that you can recapture. Right, one lifetime. And imagine how our world was transformed over that lifetime, and you can do it. What I want to talk to you a little bit today is about the governor's real strategy for growth in aerospace, aviation, defense, and it's really, as I said, enabled by partnerships. But I want to kind of put those partnerships into focus for you as you talk through today and as you digest your experiences yesterday in Springfield and your talks last night. If I were to put up this slide of the Ohio aerospace industry, it's pervasive, right? It's truly the fabric of Ohio in all its aspects, whether it's military installations, whether it's NASA and the installations associated with NASA and our federal installations, contractors, universities, even the big blue box, heritage, their history sites, right? The Lieutenant Governor alluded to those, right? It's the sites all across Ohio associated with Pathfinder aviation and aerospace. And why? It's not like we rely back on history. We have to go back to the successes of the Wright brothers. It's because that adds credibility to the future and to Ohio's role in the future. Someone asked me once, I know the Wright brothers flew in Ohio, right? I know they did their research, but does Ohio have an aerospace industry now? And it took all about 2 minutes to direct this person who actually should have known. Right? But it's based on that foundation and that fabric of aerospace that is Ohio and gives Ohio the credibility of leadership in the nation and what you're doing literally in the world. If I were to put this in words, it's this, right? It's that Ohio is a recognized leader in aerospace. Homed installations, whether it's, NASA Glenn, world-class research facilities. And I point out the large vacuum chamber, huge, immense. I mean, you can blow the shrouds in there, the net in a vacuum space environment under realistic launch vibration. Electronic power, aircraft power, e-power. Wright-Patterson, $16 billion, 33,000 people, largest aerospace research and development installation. Matter of fact, it was very interesting. I had the chair of one of the big aerospace primes tell me this is 2 orders of magnitude bigger than anything we got. And that's just one entity of Ohio, right? And Defense Supply Center Columbus, just a few miles down the road, you know that actually about 50% of the entire defense budget of the United States goes through Defense Logistics Agency Columbus, right? I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible the impact Ohio has. The aerospace R&D capital, and what goes on here at Ohio State University in aerospace R&D is truly groundbreaking, as it is across the state, whether it's University of Dayton, University of Cincinnati, and control systems, right? Kelly Cohen, I mean, some incredible work that's going on at the University of Cincinnati. NASA Glenn Research Lab at Battelle, it's all underpinned by the Ohio Federal Research Network. Preeminent manufacturing supply chain, #1 supplier of the 50 states of Boeing, to Airbus, Prime, GE Aviation, General Dynamics, Letter Land Systems. Boeing does their navigation and guidance for not only the Minuteman missiles, but for advanced aircraft, F-15B2, down the road in East Ohio, right? Why? Because it's actually the second most sizably stable spot in the United States. Pretty amazing. To roll it up, it's really about 111,000 jobs, 5.9% of Ohio's economy, and $40 billion of economic impact. Ohio should be self-attracted to advanced aviation industry. So if I were to put these into bins, and I think Elaine mentioned this yesterday in terms of the governor's pillar strategy and structure, there's really 4 pillars. And I think it nicely encompasses Ohio's fabric of aviation and aerospace, but also our future strategies. Those been to really our federal aerospace and defense installations, the national laboratories, jobs, and workforce, right? And to put those into strategic points, it's really number one, preserve, protect, defend, and expand Ohio's federal aerospace and defense installation. Use the word federal, it's in red there, it's underlined, it's highlighted, it's bold, because it needs to encompass NASA, right? NASA, Glenn, both Lewis site in Cleveland and Armstrong Test Facility in Sandusky. Those are critically important to our national infrastructure, as well as the military R&D and installations that are throughout Ohio. The second then, and that's fundamental, that's our fundamental foundation to build upon, because our aerospace R&D in the federal network is so large. But then the second piece is to increase the research portfolios, the synergies of Ohio's national laboratories. It is the golden fleece to get the Air Force Research and Development and Space Force Research and Development working with NASA, right? And working with our Ohio universities on the advanced and transformational elements of aerospace. Absolutely critical. And that's underpinned by Ohio's federal research network and the universities. Then, as I said, Ohio should be self-attractive to industry. Then we work with Jobs Ohio, right, to attract aerospace defense industry and mission to Ohio. It should be self-attractive. Part of that is getting the message out that we are all carriers of that message. And then to maintain and grow the workforce, right, both government and commercial industry. Whether it's university educated or career tech center trained, right? Right. I mean, people like the welders at Lima, Ohio, who do the heavy armor at the Lima tank plant. I mean, it's incredible, the technology, right? It's armor that's this thick. You know what their graduation exercise is? They fire 155 millimeter howitzer shell at an H weld, right? And it's splayed on that like a banana peel. And if it doesn't break, if the armor doesn't fracture, they pass. Right? Right. Yeah. But imagine how important that is that those who use that armor. A lot of responsibility, a lot of craftsmanship goes into what they are doing, as well as STEM outreach, right? If I were to put this in a graphic, it's really the intersection of those aren't necessarily in isolation, but there's an intersection, and the intersection of that is where our real power lies here in Ohio. And it's also underpinned by, I think, a couple of broad strategies that exist as well, and that's the space commercialization strategy. You heard President Johnson talk about the low Earth orbit commercial space station and Ohio State's role with the NanoRack seed with SIN technologies. Wow, some interesting opportunities. Commercial agriculture and space, some incredible opportunities for the future, as well as an international engagement strategy. But to the point, if I were to take that construct and put it in terms of advanced air mobility, this alphabet soup translates to power. It translates to real power. We talk about the installation. It's really brings to bear Springfield Air Guard Base, NASA Glenn, the Air Force Life Cycle Management Center and their Airworthiness Directorate, the National Transportation Safety Board, the Transportation Research Center, the Honda Aeronautical Laboratory of Ohio, that's HALO in there, right? It's incredible. Pillar 2, in terms of science and technology national laboratories. The research laboratory, NASA Glenn, their Advanced Air Mobility National Challenge. AFWorks, the Air Force's entrepreneurial program. FlyDrive Ohio, SkyVision, the Ohio Federal Research Network. It's pervasive. It's absolutely pervasive. Pillar 3, and that's attraction of mission and industry. Well, you saw Beta yesterday in Springfield. Joby, Beta, Lift, Kitty Hawk, Food, reliable robotics, and more. I mean, it's incredible when you look at the attractions that's here in Ohio. Ohio is becoming the epicenter of this technology. Pillar 4, the workforce transformation. An example, it's the healthcare use cases, right? Maybe it's the ability not just to use these as air ambulances or replacement for helicopters, but for physician delivery or delivery of healthcare to medically deprived areas, right? Whether it's national, international, Appalachian, there's incredible opportunity, and it's limited only by the imagination of folks who are right here in front of me, right? And it's underpinned by the commercialization strategy. Oh, by the way, you saw Neil Armstrong climb the flying bedpost, right? When he was training to land on the moon, and he had to eject because it's so unstable. Imagine the use of these type of advanced air mobility simulators and actual air vehicles and the programmable flight controls guided by initial education, right? The programmability of these to replicate landing in a moon environment, landing in the Martian environment. It's pretty incredible what you can do and how you can train. And NASA's looking at that right now. Very, very powerful. International, all kind of opportunities. So what do we do to take that space, that center element really, right? And how can we really focus on that? Well, there's a couple real centers of gravity. The first is really airworthiness, right? It's airworthiness. It's the ability to leverage the FAA's trusted partners in the Lifecycle Management Center, the airworthiness office of Wright-Patterson, because that really, the regulatory, the airworthiness goes back in a lot of things with the UAVs, right? With the drone technology. So if we get the regulatory and we turn those efforts, then we can make an impact. We can make a huge impact. The second is really the transportation research opportunities, whether it's drive or fly, the control systems that are associated with this, the use cases. So working with Ohio Department of Transportation to shape actually this fly drive intersection so that Ohio has the capabilities and can bring to bear all of the different aspects of this advanced air mobility work and leverage work in drones, leverage work that's been done in autonomous systems on the ground. There's some fascinating opportunities. In many ways, the control systems of ground vehicles, because they operate in such close proximity to people, are the stressing phase for the control systems of the air. So there's a huge intersection in this. Aside from the idea that at some point, it is going to be flyable cars, roadable aircraft, however you want to term it, right? You're going to have to deal with how those work. The sustainment questions are critical. A lot of times we think sustainment, after you back down. I know what happens if my car gets a fender bender, right? I know if I can drive it. I know if it's drivable. I know maybe I could just repair it myself. Not necessarily the case with an air vehicle, right? What does it take to repair? How do you repair? Who certifies that it's repaired properly? Is it airworthy? Is it not airworthy? Those are questions that are critical to an operation. Literally, you feel this, and within 2 days, that question will come up. Answer it now, and that is heavy technology as well. So if we can do that, and if Ohio then enables the safe operation of people, of goods, we enable this future vision. So the goal ultimately is, and the strategy in this sector, come to test, stay to build, right? I mean, it's key because it should be self-attractive industry. It is self-attractive industry. They get here, they see it. Stay because of the industry, because of the research, because of the cutting edge people that are here. Center of gravity, airworthiness in my mind, right? But look at the capabilities of the organizations only enabled by partnership, by speaking with one voice, and by an incredible effort to make this technology work. You heard President Johnson and the Lieutenant Governor talk about a lot of Ohio history, right? And this is really where it is. And these are the people that they talked about, right? Believe it or not, right? As Ohio and Ohioans, that's really all of us, led this nation into what was the air age of the early 20th century. We did, Ohio, right? We're talking about Grimes Field, aviation lighting, for example, right? And they led this nation into the space age of the latter 20th century. Key technology for Apollo was actually solved. Key technology question was solved by Aramco, Middletown, Ohio, the honeycomb heat shield, right? That NASA acknowledged that was the key technology that allowed them to build the Apollo spacecraft an order of magnitude bigger than Mercury and Gemini spacecraft, right? That was solved in Ohio. So that was the prior generation, right? What I want to leave you with is this, that so will Ohio and a new generation of Ohioans, that's you, lead this nation in the aerospace age of the 21st century. and that may be hypersonics, it may be advanced air mobility, but that is within your vision now, right? I mean, I had my vision in the 60s of what I thought aerospace should be and can be. I don't think I've had a chance to do that, but it's your vision, and I commend you to that, and I commend you for it. I want to close with the observation. I think that the technology we see today have the ability to really fundamentally transform our lives, the lives of everybody out there who doesn't understand the technology and implications. And it will alter the world we live in. And that's truly the stakes of what you deal with. I think we're on the cusp of a new revolution in aerospace technology, and a fast-paced technology development. Just like over the span of one lifetime, my grandfather saw everything from hearing about Lincoln in a carriage, every man landing on the moon, that this pace of technology will be the same, and you can really harness that technology and accelerate the implication of this technology in all of our lives. So Ohio is proud of its role. I'm proud of all of you and stepping up to this challenge. And I thank you. I thank you not really just for the time to speak to you today. I really want to thank you for everything that you do to lead this nation here and in space. It matters. It matters a great deal, and your efforts are incredibly valuable. And by way of personal note, thank you. Me personally, most of my adult life has been in the aerospace industry. For the military, what you're doing is incredible. Thank you. From somebody who's seen it and believes in this and wants to see it progress incredibly, and leadership of this nation and of Ohio into this next generation. So thank you very much. Thanks for the time.
I want to first start by thanking both Lieutenant Governor and Colonel Zeis for joining us. It's wonderful to have you both here to represent the state of Ohio and to demonstrate your support for all of these initiatives. We're especially excited to see how the state will continue to unite all of these aspects of government, industry, and academia to continue statewide progress as we